Proposed in the wake of the John F. Kennedy assassination, the 25th Amendment clarifies issues of presidential succession. While today, most of us take for granted the idea that if the president dies in office, the vice president becomes president, the Constitution does not actually say this. In Article 2, Section 1, the Constitution reads, "In case of the removal of the president from office, or of his death, resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the vice president." This language raises an interesting question. Does the vice president actually become president, or simply assume the powers and duties, becoming a temporary agent acting as president? By the time of Kennedy's assassination in 1963, a precedent had been established that the vice president would become president. But this tradition was not formally part of the Constitution. Further, there were questions about what the inability to discharge powers meant. How should that be defined? Could the president be removed if he was unable to discharge those powers? There were historical examples of, well, let's say, corners being cut because there was no formal mechanism here. The 25th Amendment sought to correct these issues. Ratified in 1967, the 25th Amendment has 4 sections. Section 1 clarifies without ambiguity that should the president be removed, die, or resign, the vice president becomes president of the United States. Section 2 closes an additional loophole. When the vice president becomes president, the new president shall nominate a new vice president who shall be confirmed by a majority of both houses. In the past, when a vice president became president, he had no VP for the duration of that term. Section 3 addresses temporary lapses. If a president should undergo major surgery or enter into some situation where he will be unable to discharge his duties for a short period of time, he is to notify the House and Senate in a written declaration. Until such time as he presents another written declaration saying he is fit to resume, the duties of the president fall to the vice president as acting president. Clearly, in this case, the president is fully aware of what is happening and is in charge of his mental faculties. The final section addresses the possibility of a scenario where something much worse has happened. Under Section 4, should the vice president and a majority of the cabinet determine that the president is unable to execute his duties, they are to notify Congress in a written declaration. Upon doing so, the vice president immediately becomes acting president. In short, the vice president and cabinet can remove a sitting elected president from power. Now here's where it gets tricky. The original president can then submit a written declaration to Congress saying he is able and shall resume his duties. The vice president and cabinet then have 4 days to again submit a written declaration that the president is unable to execute his duties. Congress must then assemble within 48 hours and settle the issue within 21 days. A 2/3 majority vote by both houses of Congress is required to remove the original elected president. If a 2/3 majority is not achieved, the original president resumes his powers. Since its adoption, Sections 2 and 3 have been utilized. Despite some conversations about activating the involuntary removal clause, Section 4 has yet to be used. Okay, purple. I think in the future, I should do a show that just has a fireplace in the background and I sit down with a chair and a pipe. Yeah? What do you think about that? We'll make that happen. I'll do like a special message on one of these shows. We'll do it that way for kicks.